Welcome back to the last sessions under the skeletal system of Hoplobatrachus tigrinus. And here in this session, we'll be dealing on the appendicular skeleton. So, what is actually appendicular skeleton composed of? The appendicular skeleton, it includes the girdles, the pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle, plus the two limbs, that is the forelimbs and the hind limbs. Okay. Now, first the pectoral girdle. Pectoral girdle or the shoulder girdle. It is present on the thoracic region and it provides attachment, a site of attachment for the forelimbs as well as the muscles associated with that. The pectoral girdle also protects the inner softer parts of the thorax. The girdle consists of two similar halves united mid-ventrally and separated dorsally. So here you can see this is the ventral part, okay, and this one it is actually bent over here and then it goes dorsally. Okay, similarly, this is the ventral part and it bends over here along the side and then it bends towards the dorsal side. So here in the dorsally it is not connected, while the ventrally it is connected. So this is one half over here and this is the second half. Each half it is divided into dorsal scapular region. You can see here the scapula and the suprascapular, the scapular region and ventral coracoid portion. So this forms the coracoid portion. Okay. Now the scapular portion consists of suprascapular and the scapula. You can see the very broad suprascapular. It is actually dorsally placed, and on the ventral side you can see the scapula connected to the suprascapular. Okay, so these two together forms the scapular region. Suprascapular, it is a thin, flat, almost rectangular cartilaginous plate on the dorsal side, and it covers dorsally the first four vertebrae. The free margin of suprascapular is calcified and lower part articulating with the scapula. Here you can see this part is bony. Okay, so here this part is actually the dorsal part is almost cartilaginous, while the part which articulates with the scapula, it is bony in nature. And at its posterior end is present a glenoid cavity. This one over here, you can see the glenoid cavity very clearly in this figure. Okay, and the glenoid what you call cavity, it is meant for articulation with the humerus bone. Humerus bone is actually the upper bone of the forelimb. Okay, the long upper part bone of the forelimb is the humerus bone, and the humerus actually it articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Scapular region. Scapula is a strong, flat, bony plate, broad towards the end and narrower in the middle. You can see over here, okay, the scapular bone. And the next portion we have is the coracoid portion. The coracoid portion comprises the clavicle, very thin, slender bone over here. This is the clavicle. You can see the clavicle here. It is very slender. Then apart from clavicle, we have the coracoid, the precoracoid. You can see here the coracoid bone, the epicoracoid, and the precoracoid. So these forms the coracoid portion. So coracoid portion, you can see it is composed of the clavicle and a precoracoid. It is almost close to this part. Okay, and the epicoracoid bone over here. Okay, these together forms the what you call the coracoid portion. Okay, the central part, this one, it is actually the sternum, the parts of the sternum. Okay, so that we'll look into later. We'll see how the coracoid portion is formed. Coracoid bone, it is slender rod. Sorry, the clavicle bone is slender rod-like structure, and coracoid, it is almost like a dumbbell shaped. Okay, these two on either side, it meets mid-ventrally. That is clavicle of the left side and the right side, they meet with mid-ventrally. Similarly, the coracoid on either side, it meet mid-ventrally. And you can see it is here it meets the two parts it meets. And this part you can see here, it is very clearly marked. This is actually the epicoracoid cartilage. Okay, so these two bony structures, they meet mid-ventrally by the epicoracoid cartilage. Okay, so now sorry, this we can see that the two parts of the pectoral girdle, it communicates with the sternum midventrally, isn't it? The sternum, we can see the structure. It lies, the sternum lies midventrally, connected between the two halves of the pectoral girdle. Here you can see this is the sternum region. Okay, here the episternum, the omisternum, the mesosternum. Here you can see, and the cipisternum. This together forms the sternum part. Okay, now the sternum is composed of four parts. Anterior to the clavicle, that is this part. Okay, this is the anterior part. Anterior to the clavicle, it is we can see an inverted Y-shaped structure, and that is referred as the omosternum. Okay, here you can see this is a Y-shaped bone. It is the omosternum. It is a bony in nature. It is anteriorly attached with a rounded cartilaginous structure which is known as the episternum. Okay, so this is cartilaginous in nature, this is bony in nature, the Y-shaped omosternum. Fine. Now, posterior to the epicoracoid, that is here you can see this is the epicoracoid. Posterior to that is another structure. It is a what you call bony, a rod-like structure, and it is known as a mesosternum. It is otherwise referred as a sternum proper, or it is a actual real sternum. That is what the meaning says. Okay, mesosternum. And to the mesosternum, posteriorly is attached a broad cartilaginous part. It is known as the cipisternum. Okay, here I hope it is clear. Okay, so the sternum is composed of four parts. The anteriormost cartilaginous structure, it is the episternum. Posterior to the episternum, you have the Y-shaped bony structure, the omosternum. Posterior to the epicoracoid, you can see the mesosternum, and the cartilaginous part posterior to that is the cipisternum. And these four structures together form the sternum of the frog. Okay, there are no ribs attached to it, and the pectoral girdle and the sternum together, it provides a support to the thoracic region. Okay, now regarding the forelimbs, sorry. The forelimbs, it is composed of bones. Here you can see this is the humerus bone, and here you can see a vertical convexity which fits into the glenoid cavity over here. Okay, so that is how it is. So humerus bone, and here there are two bones actually, the radius as well as the ulna, and this part it forms the what do you call, the arm, the hand region. Okay, so this is the hand region. You see, so there are humerus, then radio-ulnar part, and bones of a hand. The humerus is the bone of the upper arm of the forelimb. So here you can see this supports the upper arm, and it is a short, stout, cylindrical bone with a slightly curved shaft. Its proximal rounded end, this is the one which is closer to the body. Okay, so this is the proximal end, and it contains, this region is known as a head, which fits into the glenoid cavity of the pectoral girdle. The head is covered with a calcified cartilage. The ridge below the head is known as, you can see there's a ridge over here, and this is known as the deltoid ridge. It is to this the muscles of the upper arm is attached to. Okay, the distal end forms here, it forms a rounded trochlea with a condylar ridge on either side. The trochlea articulates with the groove of the radio-ulna. Okay, radio-ulna on this side, it is having groove. Each of them has a groove, and this part, the trochlea, it articulates with the region or the groove on the radio-ulna. Okay, now regarding the radio-ulna, it is a compound bone of the forearm of the forelimb and formed by the fusion of two bones, the radius and the ulna bone. Okay, it is fused to form a compound bone. Its proximal end has a concavity, as we have already seen. Here it is having concavity to receive the trochlea of the humerus bone. Okay, The proximal portion of ulna projects into an olecranon process forming the elbow joint, and the distal portion of the radioulna is somewhat flat, having a median groove dividing it into an anterior radial portion and a posterior ulnar portion terminating into a facet, providing articular surface for the proximal row of carpals. This is the carpal region. Okay. Now, bones of the hand, bones of the wrist, they are referred as the carpals. Okay, it is these carpals which articulates with the radioulnar region. The carpal bones are 6 in number and are arranged in 2 rows of 3 each. So this part is actually here 3 bones over here and here, sorry, here 3 bones over here and 3 bones over here, and this forms the wrist part. Okay, the bones of the proximal row are called ulnar and intermedium and radial. Okay, these are the 3 bones which are closer to the radioulnar region. These bones articulate directly with the radioulnar region. Okay, radioulnar compound bone. The bones of the distal row, that is the second row here, they are known as capitohamatum, trapezoid, and trapezium. These bones articulate with the metacarpals. So these are the carpals. Okay, the 6 bones form the carpal region, the wrist region, and you have the metacarpals over here. The hand, it is otherwise known as manus. It is provided with 5 slender metacarpals. The first metacarpal is rudimentary, and the digit corresponding to thumb is thus absent. The remaining 4 metacarpals are supported by phalanges. Metacarpals, it is actually the bone of the palm, right? And the what do you call digits? They are the fingers. Okay, I hope it is clear. The phalanges, it supports the fingers. Okay, the second, the thumb is absent. The remaining 4 metacarpals, it is supported by phalanges. Okay, so wrist part is formed of 6 carpals. The palm portion is formed of 5 metacarpals, 5 slender metacarpals, and here what happens is these are the fingers which are supported by the phalanges. Okay, so the first metacarpal is highly reduced, and corresponding to that, thumb is also reduced. Okay, it is absent. The remaining 4 metacarpals, if we see, they are supported by the phalanges. The digits associated with the remaining 4 metacarpals, they are supported by phalanges. The second digit, it bears 2 phalanges. The third and the fourth digits bear 3 phalanges each. So these are the bones in the forelimb. Okay, so when we just revise what we have learned in this presentation, we learned about the pectoral girdle. There are 2 halves which form the pectoral girdle. These 2 halves, they meet at the center, at the mid-ventral region, by way of what you call as the epicoracoid. Okay, and dorsally they are free. Now, mid-ventrally, the pectoral girdle is found to be articulating with sternum. The sternum is composed of 4 parts, 2 bony parts and 2 cartilaginous parts. The anteriormost part is formed of cartilaginous episternum, which is attached to the omosternum, which is a Y-shaped bone, which is found like adjacent to or anterior to the clavicle. Posterior to the epicoracoid, the rest of the portions of sternum lies. You can see the mesosternum, which is just posterior to the epicoracoid, while the siphisternum, it is the posteriormost part of the sternum, which is communicating with the mesosternum. Now, with regard to each half of the pectoral girdle, you can see the ventral part is formed of the coracoid portion, while the dorsal part is formed of the scapular portion. The coracoid region is composed of a clavicle, then you have the coracoid, then precoracoid and epicoracoid bones. These 4 bones form the coracoid region, while the scapular region is formed of this suprascapular on the dorsal side and scapula on the ventral side. This scapula is bony in nature, the suprascapular is bony plus cartilaginous in nature, with a glenoid cavity for receiving the head region of the humerus. Now the forelimbs we have already seen. Okay, right. Thank you.